TikTok. I'm not fooling around anymore. Every day one receives a soul, probably at Hetzi Lila at midnight. When one's asleep, you exchange your soul for a new one, so you're actually born again. After that, sleep isn't so important because the whole idea of sleep is to exchange your soul. So it's like a miniature death when you go to sleep at night. So this aspect of the soul that I'm speaking from now only has today. This spark only has today. So that's where the importance of the day comes in, and that's a yom. Only today. It's only today, Yom HaKippurim. And so the point is, in the middle of the night last night, I heard Dad's voice say to me, Steve. I woke up, I looked around, then I looked at the time, it was 6:06 a.m. And that's the number of atzmuts. Later on this morning, I've gotten my greatest find. Did it come from this? Who knows? Here's my greatest find. We are in Adar 1 now. And it's a whole machlokas, a whole discussion of when is Moses' birthday. Is it the 7th of Adar 1 or is it Adar 2, 7th of Adar 2? And as in a previous video, I've said that it's partially the birthday was Adar 1 and the death day is Adar 2, but here's some other way to look at it. There are 60 days of Adar, 60 days supposedly of happiness. These 60 days make a samach, 60. That samach can be divided into the two surrounding lights of 37 and 23. So rather than dividing the month into two periods of 30 days, or in a certain sense 31 days and 29 days, because they normatively take the 30th day of Shavat, and use that for, which it is, it's like a Rosh Chodesh for Adar. They use that to count Adar, but I do it a different way. I divide the month not 30, but 37 and 27. Those are the two surrounding lights. If you do that this way, and take 37 days, and start from Adar 1, first of Adar 1, and count 37, you come to the 7th of Adar 2, and that's the birthday of Moses. So 37, which is the Yehida, it's also Hevel. As you know, Hevel is my brother. This Yehida, this Hevel, who Moses is partly a rectification of Hevel. That's the Hey in his final, in the final letter of his name. Moses, Shet, and Hevel. This comes all from my father, from my brother. 37 days from the 1st of Adar give you the 7th of Adar, 2. So this is the real day of Moses' birth and death. The 7th of Adar 1, his Zelam leaves. The 7th of Adar 1, his Zelam leaves. Why? Because the Zelam, in my opinion, comes from Ein Sof. It comes from, if not Ein Sof, Rod Lo. Comes from the highest realms. And that's at 606, at Atzmut. What it is specifically up there, I don't know. I'm telling you of a region that nobody's been to. This spark of soul has to be explicated today, because there is no tomorrow for this spark of soul. There's a suicide at night when you go to sleep. If you don't want the soul to leave, don't sleep. Sleep is 1/60th of death. It's a giving up of your soul. That's why they say the nighttime Shema. So this beautiful function here that that 7th of Adar 2 is 37 days, Hevel and Yehida, the Yehida aspect of the soul, and you know, we all have a spark of Moses within us. That's normative Judaism. We each have a spark of Moses within us, and we each have the spark of the Yehida of that God gave us. And this is that spark in Moses. And this is plainly evident in 37 days from Adar 1. This is the most propitious month because it's an intercalculated month. It's a 30-day period from Rod Lo, which has 3 components, each of 10 each. And that's the whole idea of the Nazir and the Yud Hey. And this high level is expressed in these 7th of Adar 2. And if you come from the other side, if you come from the end, which I call Nisan 1, which really starts the time of the avoidance of hummus in some geniuses, not me, I mean the analysis. If you come back 23 days from Nisan 1, you get the 7th of Adar also. And 23 is that complement, that's the Haya. My mother's name, by the way, Haya. You come back into the Yehida of the 7th of Adar from Nisan. You come back 23 days, and you come back to the 7th of Adar 2. So I mean, that's it. That's the 60. You know, the dissolution of the cancellation of the problems is 1 in 60. This all relates also to Purim Katan. Purim Katan is the 14th and 15th of Adar 1. As they say in the Mishnah, you celebrate it, but you don't read the Megillah and you don't give gifts to people. So there's an underlying thing that's deeper here than reading the Megillah and giving portions to people or gifts to people. And what is that? The underlying aspect is revealed in the Adar 1. So there's a higher aspect in the reading of the Megillah. And this is that the second comes first. You know, when they talk about in all this, the beginning is in the end and the end is the beginning? Well, in this particular case, the end comes first. In Purim, in Pesach and Pesach Sheni, the second comes second after Pesach. You get a chance to start again. in Purim and Purim Katan, which is like a second Purim, it comes before. The second chance comes before. Get it? The second chance comes before. There's a start before the start. And that occurs in Rod Lo or Ein Sof. So, there's a start before the start. And so there's two things here which are really four. You ever see that in the Mishnahs or whatever? There's two Purims and there's two Pesachs. And one comes before the other and one comes after the other. And this is very deep. And this is only available during this month. So know what you're doing here. This is only available in Adar 1, which I say comes from Rod Lo. Rod Lo, as I rearranged the letters into Adar with a Lamed, and that Lamed is 30. And that's the 30 days of Adar. 1. So the Hiddush here is to count 37 days from 1st of Adar, and you get the 7th day of Adar 2. And if you, with that one simple thing, you understand the entire complexity of the month of Adar 1. And if it wasn't for this verbal explication, I wouldn't have remembered that Hevel is that, and Hevel is my brother. Hevel is partly Yehida, even though it's not always looked upon like that. The gematria of Hevel is Yehida, 37. I think that's the age of Yitzhak at the Akedah. I think it was 37. If it was, that expresses even more why the Ayil is substituted there, because the Ayil is Hevel. As I expressed the other day to someone, they asked for a Shay. Shin Hey, and they got an Ayil. But the Shin Hey is the din of Moshe. Shin Hey. So the Hey of Moshe is really Hevel, and that's the Ayil. These are very deep things. I want to get them today because you only have this one day for this part of the soul. And this is the part of the Yehida that has been explicated to me. This morning, after I was awoken by a voice of my father, Steve, an alarm clock like, Steve, explicating aspects in areas that have never been explicated before. Tick tock, do it fast. I have other things to say. I'm going to say them right now. I've been doing some work with Lacanian therapy, of course, and the whole idea of Freudian therapy, of course, and I'm going to speak about this later. The whole idea of hisbodedot. Hisbodedot, the idea of talking to God an hour a day in your own words, in your own language, which explicates the Shema, because the Shema is the only other phrase in your own language. And you're supposed to talk, well, I'll do this in another video. Hisbodedot was taken by Sigmund Freud as psychoanalysis. And he was right, but he took away the Jewishness. And so I have some new comments to make on this. Sad, but beautiful. That's all I can say.